Welcome, everyone, to our second ever Pascolo Proving Grounds panel discussion. Appreciate everyone that made it. We are recording this call for the group as well. And so those of you watching it on replay, thank you for checking this out and being a part of this group. Again, Pascolo Proving Grounds is kind of an experiment. And there's a group about getting close to 600. I believe everybody's from Wealth with God students that are kind of working out their wealth map and trying to help each other out, right? Part of the goal of Wealth with God is to um, have enough resources and provision to walk out what God's called you to do, and enough left over to help others fulfill their God-given calling as well. And so our panelists today are looking to give some value in the areas of their expertise in the financial world, and to help you guys on your journey as well. And we obviously encourage you to check out what they have and help them on their businesses as well. I think there's a win-win opportunity here. So without further ado, let's jump into the call. What we're going to do is have each one of our panelists kind of introduce themselves for a few minutes, kind of share what they do and how you guys can get a hold of them. And then we'll have some questions that were submitted from the group that we'll go over. And then anybody live on the call, you're welcome after that to ask your questions directly. So let's dive into it. Today is about financial matters. We have coaches, bookkeepers, all sorts of different areas in the financial world and insurance. I myself am a financial advisor. I manage client assets as well as do wealth coaching as well. So I will have some feedback as well. But let's get into our panelists here today. And so first, I want to welcome Miss Jody McRoberts. And she is one of our wealth coaches on the panel here. But I'll let her kind of explain who she is and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you today. As you mentioned, my name is Jody McRoberts, and I own JM Financial Coaching. I've been doing financial coaching for about 11 years. I've had my own business for about the last 7 years. And as I introduce myself, what I like to say is that I love to help people create a great plan for their spending, savings, and giving, and to live a life of abundance, contentment, simplicity, and generosity. So in my own financial story, I had financial struggles as a young person. My parents taught my brothers and me to save. So from a young age, I did that. And as I entered young adulthood, I decided that I want to start giving to a local church and other organizations. And, some people have a problem with spending too much money. I actually gave too much money away. And I actually had to ask my parents for help a couple of times. And so I decided, you know what, that's it. I'm going back to the foundation I had as a younger person. I'm going to build my savings again, which I did. I did a really good job. And shortly after this, I met my husband. He tends to be more of a spender. I'm a saver. And after we got married, I managed our finances and we did well until we started having children. And then we started spending more than we were earning. So we definitely had some problems, and we met with someone who helped us set up a really great plan for our money. And that was 32 years ago. And we still have a really great plan. That's my passion, is to help people really have a plan for their finances. Throughout the years, one of the things we decided is we did not want to have any debt in our marriage. So we saved up to pay for vehicles. We had one short loan on one vehicle we bought. We paid off quickly, and we always paid our credit cards in full. And we had another blessing that a little over 2 years ago, we left California, sold our condo there, and moved out here to Kentucky, and we paid for our house in cash. So we're completely debt free. And without having a plan along the way, it would have been really difficult to really move forward with all of our financial goals. And as I work with my clients, one thing that's very important is for me to help them define what their values are and also what their financial goals are. So each person that I work with has a very workable and customizable plan that's just for them, because our finances touch on so many areas of life. That's why I like to make sure that they're talking about what their values and their goals are, so they know where they're headed. And when their finances come in, they can apply them in a way that really fits them. And sometimes when people think about setting up a plan, it can seem really intimidating and daunting, and like, man, do I really want to do that? That seems like so much work. But what I like to tell people is that nothing changes if nothing changes. You have to start somewhere. And there's a lot of really awesome tools out there now that make things so much easier. Because what happens is sometimes, I've got a little object lesson here, is people, it'll be like they're looking at their checking account and it looks kind of like this. You can imagine all these different colors of yarn are all the different expenses, like, that car repair and that vacation I want to take and that party we're going to host. But if you have a plan set up, it looks like this, where you go, look, I've got that money set aside for that car repair, that vacation, that party, and everything works out well as long as you have a plan and you're really sticking with it, working toward it. And one last thing I do want to share is I have a really great course. I'm going to offer a special deal to those of you in the Proving Grounds community. This course is called Simplicity Pathways. It's a very simple course, just a little bit of homework, and there's actually no financial coaching in it, but it's a really great course. I say that because I feel like the Lord really inspired me to put this together. And in this course, we study the topics of abundance, contentment, simplicity, and generosity. So it's really about money mindset and even about how we're viewing our possessions too. Because in the simplicity class, we talk about how to organize and declutter. And I've had students go through the class and they've taken what they've learned and they've really put it into practice. So for those of you in the Proving Grounds group, I'm going to, this session, I offer it to 4 students only in each class because I want to make sure it's a small class. I'm going to start on March 14th on Thursday nights for 5 weeks from March 14th through April 11th. And it'll be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll meet virtually. And then I'm going to offer it free for the first 4 people that contact me via email. My email is Jody, Jody, at jmfincoach.com. Just put free in the subject line, click send, and I'll give you the information about how to register. Again, my email is Jody, Jody, at jmfincoach.com, and that's for my Simplicity Pathways course. So that's all I have to share. Thanks for letting me share all that.
Awesome, Jody. Thank you so much. I just want to spell that that website again is jmfincoach.com. So please reach out. We'll also make a post in the Pascolo Proving Grounds Facebook group how to get a hold of her and about her offering for the coaching. We're looking forward to having her part of our team. For those of you guys that are looking for one-on-one coaching and inspiration, she obviously has great experience and stories to share. I've been able to meet with her as well, and I'm really encouraged to have her part of our team here as well. So wonderful, Jody. Thank you, and she'll be addressing some of the questions as well as we go. All right, our next panelist here, we're going to go to Miss Annie Gaudette.
Hi there. Well, I'm excited to be here as well. I love helping people. And where I got my start in that is with my mom and dad. My mom, we had a family of 10, and my dad was always trying to make extra. So he worked his full-time job, and then my parents were entrepreneurs. They had a restaurant, he had a used car lot. And what I noticed as a child growing up was tax time was extremely stressful in our home. Mom and dad were trying to get things together. It was always getting bumped out. And so when I turned 18, this pattern was distressing me. And so I said, hey, can I just help you guys out with this? I don't know what I could do, but can I help? And 3 days later, they didn't, I think they picked the phone up as I spoke, and I was in front of their CPA, and their CPA taught me what my mom and dad needed to do, how to put it together on a monthly basis. He raised me up in Peachtree. I hate Peachtree. Much more happy in the QuickBooks world. So I ended up my career as a bookkeeper, started from helping my mom and dad. And then I got recommended to somebody and recommended to somebody. And 23 years later, I think I've interviewed maybe 5 times in my life for anything. But I also do operational management. So as I learned how to do the nuts and bolts, people started saying, well, could you do this too? Got hired one time to be a bookkeeper, ended up taking over their bookstore and ended up putting a website together. My attitude is I can figure it out. I can Google that. So what I do for my clients that are my bookkeeping is I try to keep it to where everybody can have all of their things by the 15th. That's a standard, so that every single month we're reviewing things, we're putting it together. And by the time we get to January, there's just so little stress. And then the other thing that I have been doing now in the last year is I'm a God Talk certified coach, which is just hearing from God about stuff. But I weave in the finance. I have a passion to help people get out of debt, and I have a passion to see people get in front of the snowball and then like melt that puppy down so there isn't this big thing coming at you and from the back. I like peace, I like calm, and I like order. So the Bible says, have a vision, make it plain so you can run with it. So I like to help people form that vision, make it really plain. Let's get really practical. I like easy steps. I don't like hard. And I love to see people just go, I can do that. Because there's always a solution. So that's what I'm here for, is to help people find solutions.
Amen. Thank you, Annie. That was fantastic. I would say that is one of the biggest needs that I've seen with with God students. Not only just the bookkeeping, but that operational management. That word, I had to write that down. I was like, I need you. I need that. I got to hire you. Here to help me with all the influx of blessings that the Lord has provided for my family and I. And so, what a great tool. I also love that God taught certified coach. That is, I'm not going to steal it, but I love that. That is fantastic. I remember one time Jim graciously was introducing me, and I don't ever consider myself somebody that's like full of wisdom, but he used this phrase that I steward the wisdom of God, and I was like, I like that. I don't have any kind of like expert knowledge or wisdom that I bring myself, but I have learned to listen to the Lord and obey and hear his voice and allow the Lord to flow through. So steward of wisdom as well. It sounds like that's a similar thing. And so I think all these ladies on here have that gift as well. So wonderful. Thank you so much. And also you can find her connection information in the Pascolo Proving Grounds group. Did you mention that on your time there, your email or anything? Why don't you hop back on there and just make sure it's very verbal as well? Because not everyone that listens to this is on Facebook. There we go. So guys, if you guys can
So
see
that's my
that.
phone number. I'm Pacific Standard Time. And my email is my name, Annie at gaudetbooks.com.
Super cool. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, always communicate with Wealth with God culture. We should know to communicate in time zones. That's always a funny thing that I always have to deal with when I'm in central time zone. So it's always unique to go. All right, well, let's keep this moving. Another bookkeeper on our team is Jeannie.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I just, along with Annie, and Josh, just agree that God uses all of our experiences to shape us and help us discover where we're gifted and where we can help other people. Again, my name is Jeannie MacArthur. I am a bookkeeper and a certified QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor, which just means I use QuickBooks the most. I started in using this software and helping my family business. My mom and dad back in 2001 had an insurance company, and I was helping navigate their books, and that's where I got started. And then also just over the last 8 years have started my own bookkeeping business, and it's called Back at the Office. So my goal is to help small business owners walk alongside them and bring value to them and the structure of running a business. I'm walking alongside them so that they can do what they do best, which is providing the service that they do to their clients. So that's kind of my goal and how I got started. And I also am one of my biggest clients right now is a nonprofit that I spend quite a bit of time with, but I'm their finance manager. So all things regarding the everything from audits to payroll to HR policies, I'm all involved in all of that as well. So but all of that to say, I'm just excited to be able to provide kingdom-minded people the services that I offer, whether it's just small or large. So again, just I'm grateful to meet you all, and please reach out to Jeannie, JEANNIE, at backattheoffice.com. That's all spelled out. So that's my email address that you can reach me at. So looking forward to chatting with you if you need help or guidance from everything from what software to choose, to how to set up your chart of accounts so that it's easy and understandable to you and not overwhelming. So that's how I can help. So thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jeannie. I think a lot of business owners realize that one of the most important people they can have on their team is a good bookkeeper. So thank you for offering your services. I am needing to upgrade my system from my Excel sheet and a bunch of padded paper on my desk to QuickBooks. And so you'll be on my people to call here soon to guide me through how to set this up and change the game on my bookkeeping skills. So appreciate you being on here. Jeannie will also be answering some questions here in a few minutes on that particular topic of software and other ways that you can utilize in the bookkeeping time. Somebody asked in the chat, what time zone is Jeannie in?
Pacific.
All
I'm
right.
on the West
Pacific
Coast.
time.
Mhm.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Moving along. Miss Tammy Price. Uh-oh, we don't hear you. We don't hear you for some reason. I mean, you're not muted. I can see that. I'm not sure.
How about now? Can you hear me
There
now?
we go. Yes,
Good.
can hear you
Okay,
now.
cool. That was like a
Perfect.
total side plug for Verizon. Anyway, my name is Tammy. I am so excited to be here with you. Thank you for having me. And so, a little bit about me, why I do what I do. Well, I have 20 years of experience being a very mean, nasty, manipulative debt collector. And when Jesus entered my heart, out went the manipulation, out went the usury, out went all the things. And he gave me this desire to be able to come alongside people who are going through the overwhelm and the frustration of dealing with debt collectors, collection agencies, wage garnishments, judgments. What can I negotiate? How do I dispute? How do I make sure I'm protecting myself and not being taken advantage of? And told me, go minister to the people, help the people in these areas. And so that's what I do is Kristen reached out to me before this and said, "What is your title?" And I'm like, "Well, I think I'm a detonator, like kind of like the Terminator. We like go after debt and we aggressively punch it in the face, and dealing with credit and stuff." And she was like, "How about mindset and debt specialist?" And I was like, "Oh, that sounds so much better. So we'll go with that. But you can call me the detonator. I am the detonator." And so I love to equip people just to make sure they're not being taken advantage of, because the truth is, you don't know what you don't know. And so I am, let me see, hang on. I'm going to see if I can get my screen share up because I decided to try and be all fancy for this. Hang on. See if technology works. And so I wanted to share with you just how to get in touch with me. And so if you scan this QR code, that'll take you to a free 15-minute booking where I can get to know exactly what you need, how to support and serve you. And by the end of it, you'll have at least one action step to be able to get you a result, whether it is dealing with debt, mindset topics. I'm a certified coach in a couple different stylings of coaching, action oriented, as well as mindset coaching. And so I love seeing people get big breakthroughs. And so let me see here. Oh, come on, technology. Okay, so I specialize in giving people customized strategies and directions in the areas of credit, debt collections, dealing with collection agencies, whether it's business to business or consumer debt, how to negotiate and navigate balances, payment plans, interest rates. Side note, did you know that you can actually negotiate on interest rates for credit cards you're current on? You can. Also, dealing with doing it yourself and done for you services. So some of you might be really afraid of calling your collection agencies and dealing with those. I can take you by the hand. I can walk you through what to say. My end goal is that you walk in peace and understanding, knowing what to do. And so whether you are more of a, you know what, just tell me what to do and I'll run with it. Awesome. I've got that. And then I've also got where I can hop on the calls for you and guide the conversation, negotiate on your behalf, and stand in the gap for you so that you're not being taken advantage of. I also help in terms of, again, money mindsets and beliefs, and budgeting challenges and beliefs around budgeting. Because the truth is, we could all Google how to budget, but there's something deeper that's keeping us from taking action. And when we have a discovery of what that is, then the action can automatically follow the new beliefs. So I show you how to move beliefs around in your mind, and it's renewing the mind, right? Romans 12:2-12. I'm dyslexic. Anyway, so I'm a certified life coach, action oriented. I help solopreneurs and entrepreneurs in the areas of getting started in their business. So people like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So I literally come in and I just pull it out of you. Like, I know the questions to ask. I've been there, and so I never want to see anyone stuck. I believe that everybody is called to be resilient. Hence the name of my company, Resilient Life. And so I'm here to serve. I'm here to support. I also run a free group too. You're welcome to check it out. It's Mind Over Money. And that is a little bit about me. You can find me on Instagram under The Resilient Tammy. And you can email me again, resilientlife34@gmail.com. And scan the QR code, take a screenshot of it to come back to later. If you know other people who are struggling with debt, feel free to share this information with them as well. My desire is that nobody be left behind or felt unheard or stuck.
So good, Tammy. Appreciate that. Guys, I had an opportunity to speak with Tammy at length a little bit ago, and you are going to want this person in your Rolodex or contacts, whatever you use to keep people's number. Keep her handy. She can probably turn that $1,000 in a week challenge that Jim offers into $2,000 in a week challenge if you utilize her skill set in this area. I've seen so many uh, conversations I've had with students in this, debt collection or debt issues, especially in the medical field, that just are unaware of their power they have to handle this debt. And Tammy's really an expert in this area, so I really encourage you to reach out to her. I love also that she mentioned this, and I believe all these ladies will offer this, but to call with you. And I do this with clients all the time, and it's such a relief to have an expert on the phone with you, because these people, like Tammy, when she was on the other side of the firing squad, she knew how to take that client that wasn't you didn't know their stuff, and I guess you use the word manipulate, right, and how to kind of adjust the conversation to the collector's benefit. But now you'll have her on your team to make sure those things don't happen. I love doing that as a financial advisor when I call other firms, or like annuity products are a big thing that I call, and have me on the line. Then we can get a clear understanding of what you have, what situation you're in, and what your options are. And so what a great asset. Thank you so much, Tammy. Appreciate that. And you can also find this information in the Pascolo Proving Grounds group as well. All right. Moving on to our last presenter for today, our panelist, Miss Kelly Stewart.
All right. Hi, everybody. Do you want me to?
Tammy, if you could take down your share screen there, that'd be great. I don't know how to do it. There we go. All right.
All right. Well, my name's Kelly Stewart, and I'm just blessed and honored to be here today with all of you, and just the amount of wisdom that this group shares is it's incredible. So I just hope that all of you will take that resource to your full advantage. And I know I'll probably be reaching out myself for different things, but so my name's Kelly Stewart. Like I said, I'm more in the financial services insurance world. A little bit about my background and kind of my why. A lot of us have already talked a little bit about our why and why we do what we do. And isn't it amazing how God takes what we think is broken, or the rocky paths that we have, to really develop and hone our skills to create such life that we can bring to other people. And so my path is not any different than some of the ladies that have already talked already. When I was 28, my mom passed away from brain cancer, and from diagnosis to death was 4 months. And so we really didn't have a whole lot of time to prep and plan and prepare and all that fun stuff. And so when she passed away, there was some life insurance in place, but it just wasn't enough. And my father and mother were a lot of years apart. And so I was the daughter that got to talk to him about how we just didn't have enough money to stay in the house and how we needed to do something different. And we had lived in the house pretty much our entire lives. And so that was really hard on me to be able to do that and have to deal with that. And then as I moved on through life, my husband and I got married, and we were doing everything we could to make sure that bills were met and that college bills were paid. And we just go, there's got to be something out there that we're missing, because it can't just be a day in and day out. Here we did our 40 hours and that's all. Like, there's got to be so much more. And so that took me on a path of like, how do I do more? How do I learn more about finances and the world of money and how it works and all that fun stuff? And so I started doing a lot of research. I got my Series 6 and 63 and took my SIE so that I could be a registered rep, and started working for NIS Financial Services for a few years to help people with mutual funds and insurance. And what I found in that time is some companies, they just have one product. And so they say everybody needs to fit into these pair of pants. And they have one offering that they can do for mutual funds, and that's all that they can offer. And so as I grew and learned more about just the world of finances and insurance, I learned that there was a lot of corruption and a lot of people that just wanted to do stuff for the extra dollar. And so I left that job and decided I would start my own finance and insurance company. So I created KS Financial Services. And so I'm a broker, which means that instead of being a part of one company where I have to sit across the table and say, hey, I have to sell this much production, otherwise I'm going to lose my job, I can say, what do you need? What are your specific needs and wants, and what product and company will best fit that issue? And so it's been a blessing to be able to serve people in that regards, and to come alongside them and go, okay, let me see what you have, because maybe the product and the services that you were given is not what you need. And so not only can I do Medicare, I can do life, I can do health. I do some annuities and things, because it's just so broad and vast out there. And when my dad passed away, he was, like I said, he was a little bit older, a lot older. And he went into a nursing home for a few years, and I got to see how he lived his entire life and pretty much lost everything. And so I made it kind of my goal that that would never happen to my kids and my family. And so one of my desires is to help protect people's assets, so that no matter what happens, whether it's long-term care or death or whatnot, that there's still a legacy that can be left. And, it kind of reminds me of what Jim was talking about with Nehemiah. And he says, we got to build the walls first before we can build the greatness, because if that foundation isn't good, everything else will continue to crumble. And so that's a little bit about where I am and what I do. I'll share this with you real quick and just kind of get my information for you. So there I am. There's my cell phone, 563-279-2356. I'm on Central Time, so the best time, right? No, I'm just kidding. But I can help with life insurance. I can help with medical insurance. I can do a little bit of debt elimination, but some of the ladies in the group do that way better than I will. I can help with long-term care, because not every long-term care policy is good, for sure. Medicare, that world in general, typically you're averaging around 140,000 and within a lifetime for medical expenses once you retire. And so if you're not planning accordingly, people will take advantage of you in that space for sure. And then some asset protection. And then I did a little bit more in regards to just finances. And so I became a certified financial fiduciary, because it meant a lot to me to not just get a certificate that says, hey, I can help you with your finances, but to really say, I'm going above and beyond to make sure that whatever I do for you, I'm really a fiduciary, somebody that really has your best interest in mind. And if I do something wrong that doesn't have your best interest in mind, I can lose the certificate and that type of stuff. So I help with life, health. This is my family. And my why, my big why is I want to help leave a legacy, just like I want to leave a legacy for my children and to help you guys be a part of that as well. So there you go. That's me in a small nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Fantastic. Kelly's so good that I had to hire her about a month or so ago. I said, I need some help. And we had a conversation. And so she's part of my team as we're building an advisory practice. And I really have some great encouragement working with her already that I think God's going to build something special for the community as well in the financial side of things, as well as all these ladies that are on this panel. Guys, we have gold in this group. Isn't it fantastic to know that you're not doing this wealth map on your own, that you have people that you can reach out to? All of them are available even for, brief consultation. Yes, they do have different products and services that might have some cost to it down the road, but I know their hearts that they're all willing to, give and help direct you in the right area. And if you see a fit to partner with them in their businesses, please jump in. One thing just to add to what Kelly said, when I was in the banking world, man, insurance made a lot of difference. I've had many conversations across my banking desk. One was this young lady, she had a baby in her arms and she's crying at my desk. And she was like, we already kind of knew because of the news, but like right around the corner from the bank, her husband had gotten into a tragic accident and died. And she came in there just like, what are we going to do? And, they were both on the accounts, they needed to reorder some of the structure of the bank account. And she's like, I'm gonna have to move in with my parents. And I don't know what's going to happen. And she was devastated. She was obviously grieving, but her life was changed. They had no life insurance. They had nothing. Another example of another lady came in. She had 5 kids, baby in diaper as well. She's weeping. She lost her husband. She's grieving. She's like, I don't know what I'm going to do without him. I have this family to raise. But guess what? On the other side of the desk, she slid forward a check that had $1 million on it from a life insurance policy. And not that solved all her woes. She's going to grieve. She's going to be devastated, but she didn't have to worry about paying the bills because she had that protection. And so part of what Jim teaches in Walk with God and what Kelly can help you out with is making sure you protect those things that you can't afford to lose, like your car, your home, your life. The life of your spouse. It's very important to have those, like she mentioned, Nehemiah built the wall first before they rebuilt the city and the temple. They had to have that protection. And so risk management is a God idea. We're not just trusting the Lord's going to make everything fine. We're stewarding wisdom there. And all of these ladies, including Kelly, can help you with that task in your financial journey. Guys, we're doing amazing on time. This is so encouraging. I'm going to dive into the questions that were submitted, and then we'll open it up to the people that are on the call here today for your questions. But one of the top first questions that we want to address are, what are the ways we can reduce and eliminate debt? And so our detonator, Miss Tammy Price, is going to tackle that question for us first.
Okay, so ways to eliminate and reduce debt. Here we go. You got a pen and paper handy. You ready to go? I have something that is, what do I call it? I'm going to make up the name right now. It's called the magnifying approach, okay? And so what this is, have you ever seen someone try to hone in a magnifying glass and shine the sun down on a plant or an ant or something? You're going to take the same approach with your debt. Now, whether you do the snowball, like Dave Ramsey, John Commuto, Susie Orman, and James Baker also talk about this. It's looking at the smallest balance first, or the debt avalanche, which is taking your highest interest rate and attacking it that way. You're going to be very strategic. So instead of throwing a couple extra dollars here and a couple extra dollars there at the extra things, you're going to pick one thing and you're going to hone in on that one thing first. When you pay off that one, you're going to pretend that you're still paying that minimum payment and you're going to roll it to the next thing. And so this is going to accelerate your process for paying off debt. The end goal, obviously, we know we're gonna stop charging on the cards that we're trying to get paid off. Otherwise, it takes even longer. And the other thing that I will share with you is having that strategy. Have it out in front of you, whether it is on a piece of paper or having some kind of Google sheet or an Excel sheet. keep it in front of you. So that way, when you're paying it down, you can update your balance, because our brains are rewarded by pain and pleasure. Believe it or not, that's how our brains are activated. And so use that to your advantage. Take a moment to celebrate each time you see the number going down, whether it's a high five. People used to think I was crazy because I'd sit there in the office high-fiving myself all day long when something went really well. But I encourage you, figure out a way to celebrate in a way that doesn't have to cost money. And do that so that way you can lock in and hone in on that behavior of being consistent and really focusing in on your debt.
All right, that was awesome. Any other panelists that wants to give it 2 cents on that question, you may. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next question. Going once, going twice. I'm going to do that every time, so be prepared. If you do have something, just hop in there. All right, next question. Can you give an overview of how to create a financial plan for this present time and retirement? What or where, this is kind of the key part, what or where is the best place to start? I can't remember who's going to answer that. I think it was Annie, but forgive me if it was someone else. Just hop in there and answer that question.
It's
There you go,
Miss
Annie.
Kelly.
Oh, my bad. Kelly, go
Oh,
for it.
you're
Sorry.
fine. So when you are on a journey, right, one of the biggest things that you need to figure out is where you're going, right? Because if you don't know where you're going, you're just going to do rabbit trails. Oh, I think this looks good. Oh, I think this looks good. I think this looks good. So you're going to want to figure out, okay, where is the end? And then you need to walk it backwards. How is it going to work to where I can get to this place? Step A looks like this. Step B looks like this. Step C looks like this. And so sometimes we think, okay, well, I just need to get going and run 100 miles an hour. And sometimes if I want to go to the beach and I'm going west and the beach is east, I'm never going to get there no matter how fast I run, right? And so we need to know where we want to go first and then start. And oftentimes it's not 100 miles an hour. Sometimes it's just one step. So step one might be, I'm not going to spend any more than what I make. It's kind of simple, but it's really hard for some people. And so we start there. A lot of times it's just doing something consistent. So if I want to put $50 into savings every single month just to start, so I get that knowledge and that trigger of like, this is what I need to do every month. And then as time goes on, okay, now I'm going to do $100 a month. Now I'm going to do $200 a month and just continue. Typically in the investment world, dollar cost averaging is often talked about, and it's not necessarily that we have to put $10,000 right at the beginning and then let it all grow. It's how can I do it on a consistent basis, and I'm going to get the highs and I'm going to get the lows, and over time it's going to be better than if I just 100 0 100 0 100 0. And so that's kind of that's the beginning ground of where you should start.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Also kind of to reiterate, we're all Wealth with God students here, most of us, I guess. Part of the plan, Jim's heartbeat, is to end. He ends in module 9, level 3 with the wealth map. It stands for massive action plan. And the whole course is guided to get to that point. And Kelly and these ladies can really help you along that way. Also in level 2, the first lesson is the Kingdom Road wealth map, which kind of, takes a snapshot. Where are you right now? And how do you take a step in that next direction? If you're on that struggling, that was the bottom level. This money thing's not working for me. I'm struggling. What should your next step be? People are like, well, all these people make a lot of money having multi-unit apartment complexes. I should probably buy a multi-unit apartment complex. Well, guess what? You're broke. The money thing's not working. That's probably not your next step. Really, your only next step is to, again, add value in every aspect of your life where you can go and allow the Lord to begin to open doors and to bring the provision. So that's a great question. And I love that we have a lot of wisdom on this panel in the group to help guide you guys through that. All right, we're going to go on to the next question. And again, panelists, if you want to add something, maybe a good idea is just hit that raise your hand button, and I'll know that you want to also add something to that question as well. Go ahead, Annie.
I'll just add one thing. If you Google how do I get started with the financial plan? Places that you could possibly, I feel like I would glean a sense of security from, principal, places like that. They actually have step by step, and there's things that they suggest, and they explain them a little more. And so if you're one of those kind of people, you could do a little Google search and put some steps in place for yourself.
Perfect. Perfect. Very practical. All right. Next question here. We know that Jim's teachings about the unbudgeted budget for those who are not quite at this stage. A, can you give some examples or best practices for how to keep track of spending, preventing overspending, impulse buying? And B, what is the most efficient way to budget? Forgive me, panelists. I forgot who was going to jump in and answer this one. But whoever it was can hop in there or.
So I think I was taking multiple streams of income. I'd be real curious to see what other people have to say. I do know from a practical standpoint, if you do something that's considered 1099 income, a business that opens up the Schedule C on your taxes, and there's tax advantages that can be had there if it's a business, not a hobby. Hobby is something you never really make money at, but you have a lot of joy. So that's not what I'm talking about. So I think I'll jump in just some ways of tracking spending, preventing overspending, impulse buying on that one, if that's okay, Joshua.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So if you don't have a system that you're putting all your expenses into, like QuickBooks or Xero, those kind of things, then what you can do at a really basic level, and it's actually really powerful. Most of the banks, you can go in and you can download all the transactions for a month, and you can download them into Excel, or you can download them into, I always want to say CRM, but it's not, it's the CSV file. And then you can take that and you can categorize, you can create the categories. This is something that, so let me just start with this one thing. I'm trying to lose weight. I can tell you how I didn't get here. My story isn't, I went to the gym every single day. I ate super healthy, and I just don't know what happened. That is not my story. My story is I didn't do any of those things, and I need someone to help me with really super practical, what I would consider baby steps. What do they eat? So this is the same thing in the finance. You start with baby steps. Maybe someone helps you put this together, but you download your transactions from the bank, you categorize them, and then you start seeing where your money's going, and you start to track that. One of the things that will help with impulse spending, I'm really big, and I hear everybody's been saying the same thing. You've got to have a vision. You've got to have a goal. And so if you have a vision and you have a goal, when you go to reach for that really cool, I'll just make up the only one I know, Prada purse. I think they still have those. Okay. So when you go to reach for that Prada purse, what are you sacrificing? What are you giving up? And so when you go to buy something, I think it's the same thing they say to do, even in the addiction world. They call it HALT. You just have to stop for a minute. And it's like, am I hungry? Am I angry? It's like, why are you, if you have to put it on a credit card, for me, that's the first HALT. It's like, if I can't afford it, then I don't need it. And I've lived that way ever since, I'm real honest in my life. I was divorced in 2001. That long time ago. It was over 20 years ago. I was divorced. I had to rebuild my life. There was a bankruptcy. There was a lot of things that happened in that time. And I became allergic to debt. I've stayed allergic to debt. And it has helped me build my life back up. So when it comes to overspending and impulse, when you have goals and you say no to the credit card, like find a way to do it without a credit card. If you can find a way to do it without a credit card, then good. But the second step for that is, well, okay, so now I have this $350 I could spend on a purse. Do I want it anywhere else? Do I need it anywhere else? Am I not contributing to my 401k because I just bought my $350 really super cool purse? And so it's all about managing your goals. For me, that is how I'm wired. If I have a goal in front of me and I'm trying to hit it, anything that gets in the way, that's exactly how I see it. You're in the way. There was a really great game that came out. Robert Kiyosaki, I think it's Kiyosaki, the guy who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he came out with a game that you can play, and it's the mousetrap. You go through and you try to retire.
Cash flow
And
quadrant.
Yes, yes. And so I love that game because we played with my kids, and all of a sudden buying the boat was a total bummer because it set you back. That's not how people think about it when they go to buy their bass boat, right? And so that's all of those little practical ways, whatever you have to do to start rewiring your brain so that you don't fall into that momentary yay, followed by months and months and years of regret. And so that's kind of how, I don't know, I'm motivated by pain. I don't like pain. And to me, debt is pain. And that's why I want to help people get out of that. And I want to help them to be able to walk into their month and have a plan of what they're going to accomplish. And I think that's, I don't want to talk about software because someone else is talking about that. And then again, I'm all about Google. I really am. There's all kinds of ways to make money. There's all kinds of ways to make side money. Lots and lots of them. I have my backup plan. My backup plan, if I really needed it, is I'm going to go and clean out gutters. One-story homes, I do my own. I could do somebody else's. I could make a bunch of money on the weekend if I really needed to. If I wanted that $350 purse, I would never want that. But anyway, it's like there's always a way. Ramsey Solutions, they put out little emails, 34 different ways to make money from home. So anyway, those kind of things. I just popcorn.
Can you re-explain that acronym HALT one more time?
HALT. Well, you stop and you think. This is for addicts because of food addiction. So you stop. Am I hungry right now? Am I angry right now? Am I lonely right now? Am I tired right now? And whenever those things are true, you're generally not going to make a decision that's based on your goals. You're going to make a decision based on what makes me feel good right now.
Cool.
So
So
when I
good.
go to the
Perfect.
grocery store and I'm hungry, I should eat before I go so I don't spend as much.
This is, and that actually works. Really seriously, it works.
Yeah, no, I was just giving a good practical example because so many times it's like, oh, well, I just need this or I just need this.
But those
Yeah, I mean that was
cupcakes-
really the heart of the question is those practical steps, and I think you guys nailed it. It really, those small little steps make a big difference. I know in the course, Jim teaches, to a lot of the exercises are to raise your awareness, and the phrase that I have, in my heart now is freedom over flash. Is this going to bring me towards my goal or away from my goal? And number one, are you including God in your decisions? This is huge, guys. I'm telling you, it is a game changer. I don't walk into a store anymore without realizing I'm going into the store with the Lord. It's a habit now. It's a fun habit. Like I literally am walking up and down the aisles talking with the Lord. Should I buy something? Should I not buy? God, keep me out of that ice cream aisle, please. Don't bring me down that area. And so, yeah, really include the Lord. And the little steps make a huge difference. Even if you have to do your budget on a napkin, start there. I used to do the line pad of paper, upgraded to an Excel sheet. That's pretty much where I'm still at. But you don't have to be a software wizard to keep track of spending. You just got to be aware. And this is a common phrase: what can be measured can be managed. So if you're not measuring it, you won't even know what you can do. So that's probably a first step is to become aware of what's going on. And even as Annie mentioned, the nutrition, part, I don't think any of us wants to live on counting our calories every day. But you probably have to spend a month or two of your life or maybe even a little bit longer actually counting calories so you get that awareness of what that feels like. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe how many calories I consume thinking I'm eating healthy and within range. Like, oh, I better, scale down that little extra. Again, I like that HALT analogy. It's the first time I heard that, that'd be a great tool. Go ahead, Tammy, hop in there.
Yeah, I was just going to say something that helps me is okay. So, for all of my emotional spenders out there, please don't tell me I'm alone. I actually would print out a picture of a goal because our brains are wired for picture. That's why vision boards are so much more powerful when they're actual pictures of things and not words saying something. So, you print out a picture, whether it's maybe it's a desired destination you want to go to, maybe it's a picture of family, maybe it's like something you want to invest in, a home, whatever it is. And you take that picture and you wrap it around your credit cards, your debit card. So then every time you pull out that card, not only are you reminded of your goal, But then the very next question you can ask is what I'm about to do going to bring me closer to my goal or further away? Because every choice you make is always going to bring you closer to or further away. There's no shame, there's no guilt, there's no condemnation. It's just a yes or no. And then at that point, you get to choose, which direction do I want to go? Do I want the instant thingy that I have in my hand that I'm about to buy? Or do I want what's on this picture? And so that's something that has helped me in terms of not swiping with the quickness. And the other thing is, for you Amazon buyers out there, I see you, I'm one of you. This is a tip that I love. Amazon has a wish list setting and a list setting. If you happen to be a nighttime spender, you don't have to raise your hand. I'll do that for you. That's me. I would literally go, thank you, Jeannie. I literally would go on Amazon and I'd be like, what do I need? And before I used to add it to my cart and buy it before I knew it, now I put it on a wish list. And so I have a wish list for many, many things. This gives me the serotonin hit that my brain is looking for of, oh, we did something, without having it ding my account. The other beautiful thing about this is if you're a strategic spender, you can go back through that list at any point and add it to your cart at the right time. I have a rule that I let it sit in my cart for 30 days, unless it's like an emergency, something that I have to have, because of house or whatever. But I let it sit in my cart for 30 days before I buy it. And more than not, what has happened is I end up going back to the cart after 30 days or when a special event is coming up or something. And I'm like, what? I don't even need that thing anymore. What was I thinking? And I just pull out of my cart. And so the other final tip I'll share is when you're going shopping, and this is great for training your kids, okay? Everyone has a phone. On your phone, it's probably given that you have some kind of note app or a reminder app, okay? And so this is something I love to do. I teach my 6-year-old that when he wants something, okay, buddy, let me take a picture of it. I'm going to add it to your wish list. We are going to revisit this when it comes time for, whatever, whether it's a birthday or maybe he saved up enough money for it or whatever it is, because now it teaches about delayed gratification. And if I'm going to teach him that, I'm also going to model it. He'll see me in the store and I'll be eyeballing a cute little top or something. And sure enough, he's actually holding me accountable going, Mommy, are you going to put that on your phone for later? Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So now we are rewiring our brain that delayed gratification is a good thing. Yay. And also our younger generations can be brought up in that same flow of things.
So good. Wow. Practical. Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, so as far as I'm just touching a different topic, but it's in the same vein, is when it comes to actually tracking your finances, like I said, there are some really great tools out there. There's some you do have to pay for, there's some free. Personally, and I don't get any benefit by sharing this, but I use YNAB, YNAB, you need a budget. It's awesome. And it tracks things that with your transactions, you can connect your accounts and you can have categories. It's got report. I love the reports because I can go back and see how am I spending according to this month, compared to last month. It's really awesome. There's another one, I feel like spreadsheets. So I know there's one called Tiller. I think it's Tiller Money, TILLER. And then another one that I just saw again recently is called Good Budget. So I'm sharing this to say that, yes, some of these you do have to pay for, but I'm telling you, it's worth the money if it's going to help you stay on target. And it's just also encouragement because, when I first started way back, I was using pencil and paper and a calculator, and it was a lot of work. And now because of all these tools, it makes it so much easier. So that really lowers the barrier for people who are like, man, that's so much work to track my finances. But there are so many great options out there. So I really encourage you to look around and see what you can find and see what's a good fit for you.
Very good. I want to add another question to the same topic before we move on to the next one, but I'm going to answer my own question. Can golfing bring you closer to your goal or away from your goal? And a lot of people are like, oh man, that's probably going to bring you away, right? So it's a time waster, expensive. But for me, it actually brings me closer to my goal. And let me explain. I have not been an avid golfer for very long. In fact, I haven't golfed in really about 20 years since before I moved to this small town in Kansas. 20 years ago, I was a youth pastor, and in this small town in Missouri where I lived, you could be a member of this public golf course, unlimited amount of golf for a very small amount. We're talking like, less than $100 a month. You could just go out there. I was like, that is dirt cheap. Actually, it was $250 a year membership. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing that. That was an outlet for me. And so 20-year move forward, 20 years later, it was actually 2 years ago. I'm in a small town. They have a private country club, similar, very, very cheap expense. And so I look forward to that. That actually motivates me. Like I go on, like, block my calendar off. You cannot talk to me Friday afternoon. Don't try. I'm not answering my phone. The old men that are all retired are going out at noon, and I'm going with them. And I remember telling my wife just last week, I was like, if I don't get to go golfing this Friday, this was last week, then I don't want to do all this hard work anymore. And I was like, it's just, you get frustrated. And so some of these things, don't just think of it as deprivation or scarcity. You can also look at items that do bring you closer. It also brings me closer to my son. We bought him his first set of clubs when he turned 15 last year. So he and I get to go out there a lot. It's not a huge expense where I live. And it actually motivates me to work harder on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday so that I can for sure have a peaceful Friday afternoon. And so I just want to throw that in there. So it's not all about skimping on a bunch of stuff. We can actually have those nice items that really bring our family together, joy of relaxation. And so golfing for me brings me closer to my goal way more because it motivates me to work harder in those other 4 days to have that Friday. So I just want to throw that in there as well. All right, great conversation so far. Let's keep the questions going. The next one is, what is the best software? Jody mentioned one option there. Best software to use for personal and business financial tracking and strategies to stay organized. I would say Jeannie is one of our experts in this area. One person I'm going to be reaching out to in the QuickBooks world. But if you want to highlight this question, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, I think of QuickBooks as sort of a sorting type of tool where you're really just categorizing things that make sense to you and that makes sense for your business. I have some people that use it for personal, but mostly for business. And I would say that from the standpoint of software, there's a lot of them out there. Some of them are less expensive than QuickBooks. So some of the alternatives would be Xero, Zoho Books, Wave, FreshBooks, and Sage are just some of the ones that I noticed that some of my clients, I've converted them to QuickBooks Online because that's where I have the most expertise and understand the most. QuickBooks pros and cons. I would say one of the best things I enjoy about QuickBooks is they actually do have good support. And as a QuickBooks Pro advisor, I'm able to get to another level of support for my clients. So if I don't know the answer, I know where to get the answer, and I also am a part of a mentoring group that is for bookkeepers that provides a ton of support to me as well. So that are two of my resources and one of my big plugs for QuickBooks. People have been through a lot with QuickBooks. They've tried it before. It's been cumbersome and awkward, or they just didn't understand. They didn't have someone help set them up in a way that made sense to them. And I would say there's variations of, you can start at a smaller level, at a smaller subscription, and as you develop needs for bigger solutions with more users and maybe more features, you can upgrade your QuickBooks subscription at any time or downgrade as well. So that's another nice feature. Yeah, thanks for writing those in there, Annie. And I have a couple of articles that I could just quickly copy and paste the resource into our chat if that is helpful. If you want to do some more exploring about a good, comparisons. This one
Yeah, for
is
those watching the replay, they won't have the chat, but you can reach out to Jeannie and maybe we'll post it in the Pascolo Proving Grounds group as well. Some of the links that are helpful resources, but she's posting a couple there.
Yeah, that one right there is for QuickBook alternatives. This one right here is kind of it's from NerdWallet. I just love that name. Anyway, that is just an article and a review of QuickBooks compared to other softwares that might be helpful to people. So
Perfect.
happy to answer any further questions. And also, yeah, just reach out to me for sure. I'd be happy
Sure.
to.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Wow, we're almost at the end of our pre-questions here. I think this next one I'm going to take, and you guys are welcome to jump in there as well to add to it. But the question is, how would you use your practical application to uncover mammon hiding in plain sight where God Almighty was supposed to be? And so a couple of things come to mind when I hear this question. Obviously, I'm a student of Wealth with God as well. I have a major breakthrough. It really changed my life is when I talk to people about it. Like this course taught me the gospel, and one of the lessons early on, I remember listening to it. Jim said on a lesson, anxiety and worry is to the devil as praise and worship is to God. And that blew me away. I was like, I am not going to do anxiety and worry ever again. If that's actually like, we worship at church and we're having that intimate time with the Lord and praise and worship. If that's what that is like to mammon, I'm like, it's gone. I am not going to have any altar of praise and worship to the enemy, to mammon. And so anxiety and worry, number one, if that creeps in, it's an immediate reminder. Nope. And the Lord gave me a great phrase in my heart that went with the God is the owner, I'm his money manager message. He gave me just a personal understanding of it. And he said, that's not your job. And so the Lord is very faithful to remind me, if mammon tries to sneak in or worry or thinking about, a money thing too much. And I'll just be reminded from the Lord, that's not your job. God's the owner. We're just the money manager. And so we can take that pressure off. So I'm not sure if there's anybody else that wants to kind of tackle that one, or we can kind of move on to our last one. Go ahead, Tammy, and Kelly after that.
So for me, my journey with Wealth with God, that was like a huge slap in the face for me. It was a loving slap because money is something that I would wake up thinking, breathing, all the things, money, right? And so like for me, when I realize when the majority of your thoughts focus on a certain thing and it doesn't involve God, or it positions you to not want to lean on God. So like, yes, I can do all things coaching and related to debt and collections and stuff. But the moment I stop inviting God into the conversation, my pride is taken over, my ego is taken over, and the spirit of mammon can take over, right? And so what I realize in this is when I exclude God from the conversation or the thought process, that's when something is no longer in alignment with his word. And so then I get to go back and examine and go, okay, wait, where did I fall out of alignment? What am I putting ahead of God? Whether it's fear, worry, anxiety, striving, competition, social media, like mammon isn't just about money. And it goes so much deeper. And so when we realize the spirit of whatever is being put before God, well, that's a distraction, and it can derail us if we don't get it back in check, get it back in back, and allow ourselves to put.
Your audio just cut out just a second there. So I think we got the most of all that. Kelly, why don't you hop in real quick and kind of share what was on your heart, and then if Tammy, we get that sorted out, we can have you kind of finish that last sentence. But we got the most of it there.
Yeah. The biggest thing that came to my mind as you were talking was like most of us have shared that we went from maybe some of our darker places to be able to be used in that dark place to help other people in the future. And when we talk about manna and how God provided, the Israelites were in the desert. Like, they didn't know where to go, they didn't know what to do, and they just had that one piece. And they had to embrace it for that season, but it was only for a season before God said, okay, manna is done. You need to walk into the promised land for what God has for you. And so sometimes we just need to say, what has God put in our hands? What is our time and our talents and our resource that God has specifically designed us to do? Because I'm not good at one thing that somebody else is really good at. And so how can I use my gifts and my talents and resources? It's what God's already put inside me to be able to bless others. And in so doing, that blessing of others will tumble into a blessing to where we can go into the promised land of what God really has for us and our future.
Awesome. So good. So good. There was a question in the chat I want to bring up because it was relevant to our previous question. Student said, if we are starting a small business, but it is very small, would it be wise to just start with QuickBooks or wait until we are earning more money? That was a great question. So I think one of our bookkeepers, Annie or Jeannie, if you guys want to address that. I have my own answer, but give you guys the...
I know you've been using your spreadsheet and you've been successful. However, I think that whenever you start a business, it's a wise idea to start with an accounting software. It doesn't have to be QuickBooks. So I have one client right now. They just started with Wave because they can get it for free, but it's a system. And so that there's a system, you can download reports, you can categorize things, you can get your finger on the pulse of things much easier than, was that on page 10 of my legal pad? My mom and dad did it on a legal pad. I don't like doing things on legal pads. I always recommend start with the software.
So good.
I would agree with that as well. Just, yeah, I would start. I wouldn't wait till you start earning money. If you're spending money, you're doing half of the equation here for your business. Yeah. So
yeah. And I mean, you guys are motivating me because I'm still doing the Excel spreadsheet, but kind of, Tammy said this earlier, is you don't know what you don't know. And I agree with your wisdom, both of you ladies that said start using software, because that stuff will guide you to know what you don't know. And that's a great step of wisdom, is when you start to realize, listen, I don't know everything. I'm 52 years old. And I feel like just a few years ago I learned that lesson. I don't know what I don't know, so I'm going to stop pretending I know everything. So that's great wisdom. Use services, and there are complimentary ones out there that you can find to help you. What Jim says, this, to build a great big business, you first have to build a great small business. And so I think that would guide you to doing things in the right order, in the right way, and building the right foundation. So great feedback, great question. All right, we are kind of on our last one question here. Can any of the panel ladies work with us people outside the United States? This lady I know is from Canada, so she's a local neighbor here, but I see some heads going up and down. I would imagine all the coaches on the call can help everybody, and regardless where you're on the planet. There might be some differentiating things from the United States, especially in the tax law, compared to other countries, but a lot of this is just, accounting and bookkeeping is probably similar to that. Anybody have any feedback on any restrictions maybe of, if you're in this country or if you're outside the United States, here might be some of the limitations, or do I understand? Did I say that right? That we can probably help everybody wherever they're at to some degree.
I would opt out just because I want to bring wisdom and understanding, and that's what I have in the United States. But I did put in the link efprgroup.com, and they have an amazing system. Accountants that can help you down to the bookkeeping.
Okay. And another thing, as I mentioned, you don't know what you don't know. Obviously, these panelists would be willing to, because I do all the time. If I don't have the answer, I'll at least point you in the right direction of somebody that will have the answer. I think one thing that I have gained the skill of is I know the questions to ask. I just don't know all the answers. And so I've really helped people like, oh, I didn't even know to ask that. I didn't even know to think about that. And so I think that's one piece of wisdom that all these ladies can bring just in maybe one consultation, I was like, oh, now I know what questions to ask in Canada or overseas or wherever you are on the planet. And so I think there can be some wisdom in that as well. Speaking of taxes, that's kind of our last questions. And none of the panelists here are tax experts. None of them are licensed tax professionals. And so none of us can give tax advice, and we're not going to give tax advice. However, we'll try to just give some of these things to think about or questions to ask your tax professional. And also want to kind of put a little commercial out there. If you are a tax professional, part of Wealth with God and the Pascolo Proving Grounds, man, get in touch with us. We need you. There are people that need you. I was looking for someone on this panel. I didn't find anybody. And so that is a great need in the community. If you're looking to expand your business, or maybe that's not what you do, man, take a class, get your license. You got at least 600 people right now in the Pascolo Proving Ground, potential clients that need your services. So if you're like, I don't know what to do, Lord, oh, I love numbers, then maybe you can become our tax expert. But here's a couple questions. Again, we're not going to give advice on any of this, but we'll just kind of give some thoughts as to questions you should ask. What is the proper way to fill out a W-4 form so that enough taxes are withheld to avoid owing money at tax time? I think Annie, you were going to hit this, or I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if not,
No.
no, you were not. You were, or
No,
okay.
yes, I am. Yes, I am. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to point them to, and I'll put it in the chat, and then maybe people could even email me and I can send it to them. But the IRS has a step-by-step. It's going to ask you the questions. Are you single? Are you head of household? If you need help determining those questions, you can definitely ask me. But anyway, it takes you right on through the whole thing. So you end up with the W-4 that will reflect what you're going to end up paying in taxes. It's always an estimate. So it's just on the IRS website. And
Awesome. IRS.gov. I'm looking at it. Tax withholding estimator. So guys, check that out. That's a great tool. Again, like I said, we might not have the professional advice to give you. We can point you in the right direction. I can also tell you what I did. There was a year that my wife and I were like, oh my God, we owe, how are we gonna, come up with this all of a sudden? And we realized our W-4 was set a certain way. And so you can put a number on there, we're like, how many kids do you have? At one point in time, we had 5 kids in our house. And so we put this, enormous number on there, and no taxes came out. And so we changed that. We just put 0 on there. Like, we don't have any exemptions. Just take out as much as you want. And then year after year after year, we started getting these pretty sizable tax returns, which is kind of fun to get every spring. And it depends on you. You got to know who you are. Maybe you're a better steward throughout the year, and you'd rather have that money bigger in your paycheck. Or maybe, like a lot of people, they do like to get that tax return at that part of the year every year. Maybe that's your vacation money. Maybe that's your new car money. So a lot of different options there. Great question that someone put in there. But that pretty much wraps up our questions that were submitted before we started the panelists here. We still got a good 10, 11 minutes of allotted time that we have. So if there's anybody here on the call here today that has a question for any of these panelists, now is your time. I think we caught all of the ones that were in the chat. So if you don't mind, either throw it in the chat, or you're welcome to raise your hand or just unmute and start talking. And we'd love to address any other questions that you may have. And you can be direct about your personal situation if you'd like to. It's time to get some free coaching and advice while we got you. So, all right. And any other panelists, like if anything else is on your heart that you wanted to share while we're waiting for a question, this would be a great time just to kind of, reiterate something that you shared, or anything else that might be on your heart about today. All right. Everyone's usually pretty shy when you ask them for questions. They usually take a minute. Go ahead, Tammy.
I just keep getting hit with stop letting the past beat you up. And I don't know who that is for.
Your audio just cut out. I don't know what's going on. We got the great question. I need you to come back on because that was so good. I know, me too. Annie wrote, I want to hear that so, but yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. New microphone, giving it a test drive. So sorry. But allow the past to, what was it? Basically, it's the gist of don't let the past beat you up or put limits on what you can do now or in your future. Pull the gold from the past, pull the lesson. What did that mistake teach me? What can I do going forward? Because, like, I just get in my spirit that there are so many people walking through frustration, condemnation, judgment, shame, guilt, bitterness, and resentment geared to themselves and possibly their spouse or their family for their financial situation, whether it's taxes or I don't know what I don't know in business, what's wrong with me, or I'm dealing with debt collectors and I don't know what I'm doing. How did I get here? Stop beating yourself up. Allow this community to come alongside you, lift you up, join arm in arm with you, and walk with you. This is a judgment-free zone. And I just felt led to share that because someone needed to hear that.
Amen. Thank you. Wonderful.
Tammy, I
Wonderful.
love that. Joshua, I'm just going to add, because you have a farm type setup, right? So
Yep.
how do you get the best crops? You add a lot of fertilizer. Fertilizer is part of the deal. So just take all the fertilizer from your past and then allow God to mix it with what's here in the present, and beautiful things can actually grow. So just think of the past as fertilizer.
Amazing. Good analogy. All right. Any other questions in the group? I'm not seeing anything. Jody, would you do me a favor and just repeat your offering one more time as we're getting close to closing? I just want people to be aware of this opportunity with you.
Yes, so I'm doing a course called Simplicity Pathways. It does not actually have any financial coaching in it, but we're going to take a look at the concepts of abundance, contentment, simplicity, and generosity through the Bible and see what it says about that. It'll be a great course. There's only 4 people allowed in the course. It's going to be on Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, March 14th through April 11th. And for the Proving Grounds people, I have a special offer. Like I said, I only allow 4 people in the course. So the first 4 people to email me at Jody, Jody, at jmthincoach.com. Just put free in the subject line, press send, and then I will reply to you and let you know how to sign up for the course. I'd like to, it'd be great to fill that course out, and I'd love to be able to connect with all of you.
Amen. Yeah, I want to, before we close here, I do want to say great thanks to Kristen Hendricks. She has put all of this together, guys. I know you guys, a lot of people have thanked me for stuff that I've done. I gave her a mustard seed size of an idea, and she's been running this thing. I brought her on a few months ago and just been blown away at her skill set of organizational, her creativity, her ability to make a dream come alive. And so she really has instrumented these panels over the last couple months, and just the life that you've seen in our Pascolo Proving Grounds Facebook group is really due to Kristen and her walking this out. So thank you, Kristen, again, for your great organizational skills. She is for hire to a certain degree. You cannot steal her away from what I've hired her to do. But she's phenomenal. You will not be disappointed. Anyone already that has reached out for her services have already commented to me. Thank you so much for, introducing me to Kristen. It's been just great. All sorts of stuff, guys, from website to a graphic design to just the ideas of how to get started. Has some great skills there as well as these 5 ladies here on the panel as well. Please look at the group, the Facebook group, for their links, their emails. If you didn't get it from the call, God bless you guys. I look forward to next month in March. We're going to be focusing on the category of marketing, social media, websites, that kind of line. We have a specialist in the IT and app creating department. We have some really brilliant people in the group that I can't wait to highlight next month. So look forward to it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. God bless you all.